is Michelle Noel with Geek Rock TV, and joining me right now is Sean and Jeremy. They're the executive producers over at The Exorcist. First off, thank you guys so much for inviting us to your viewing party. That was so awesome and kind of scary at the same time. So
Good.
Thank you so much for that. So with that being said, can you tell us a little bit more what to expect from season 2? We hear that Father Tomas and Father Marcus are on the road again, but this time they're at a foster care home and things are not going so well.
Well, yeah, we're starting the season off a little differently than we did last season because in a possession show, you want to give it a slow burn. So our Marcus and Tomas are actually going to start in Montana, where our family is actually going to be in Washington State. So for the first couple of episodes, Marcus and Tomas are actually sort of James Bond style, finishing up an adventure.
Yeah.
Sort of that we just come in at the very end of the adventure. They're going to finish that up, and then they'll start moving closer to Seattle. So we're actually not going to see them with our family right away.
Okay.
Hopefully there'll be some anticipation for that.
Very interesting. Now, we got a chance to see the first episode of season 2, which was, wow, if you thought season 1 was scary, wait till you see season 2, okay? I mean, already, like, traumatized about it. So we got some new characters being introduced. We got an Andy and a Verity. Can you tell us a little bit more about their storyline?
Yeah, John Cho plays Andy Kim. He is a recent widower who runs a foster home for troubled children on this tiny secluded island just off the coast of Seattle. And so essentially he's got 5 kids under his care from all different backgrounds, and they all have each of the kids has different traumas in their past, different ways that a demon could target them. And so as we come into the series, you're not necessarily sure which one of the kids under his care is the kid who's actually being targeted by the demon. So that's part of the fun of the season, is which kid is it after, how is it going to manifest, and what is this father going to do when he finds out that his family, this little makeshift family that he's created, is in danger. And that's when they're going to need some outside help from our friends Marcus and Tomas.
Wow. Okay, but what about Father Bennett and the Vatican conspiracy?
Yes.
Where are we going to see that going in season 2?
It's really fun because we actually get a start in the Vatican with, and it'll be in 202. We will actually see the office of the Exorcist, which is a real thing.
Okay.
We're not going to see it very long. I'm not going to tell you why, but story reasons.
Blows up.
Spoiler alert!
But as Bennett goes on the move, he's going to meet a character named Mouse, who's played by Zuleika Robinson. We'll meet her in episode 3 of this season. And the two of them, and she's a female exorcist that is self-taught. Because the Catholic Church doesn't teach that. She's self-taught in a very specific way, and she does it very differently because of the damage in her backstory. So Father Bennett and Mouse will sort of go on the road together.
Okay. Now, will the show continue on with this kind of an original pace? Because we're noticing some, different little style of horror in this version.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first 2 episodes, we wanted to really design them so they would be a great entry point for new viewers. So the first 2 episodes you're going to see a lot of scares, you're going to see a lot of fast-paced action while you're kind of meeting this family and getting to know them and learning which kid in this house is actually the one who's in danger. I think by the time we get to the midpoint of the season and the 2 stories have sort of collided in an exciting way, I think it will settle down and stylistically will be closer to the show that everyone knows and loves from episode or from season 1. But we are trying to take some chances this year. We have a big stylistic episode coming up in the back half that's incredibly different from anything we've ever done before. And I think fans are going to be really excited by it.
And our influences are definitely, we're obviously with The Exorcist last year, but our influences this year are, we're doing a lot more Japanese horror because we have the Pacific Northwest to play with, and nature. We're definitely, where last year was very urban.
Right, city life.
City life. This is very much, nature plays a huge role, and you'll see it. You'll see nature actually change and respond over the course of 10 episodes. Our producing director up there has been setting the look for each episode, so you'll actually see everything change.
Okay, so most likely every new season we'll be seeing new cast members, but we'll see.
Yes. I think, I mean, Marcus and Tomas are the heart of the show. They're the reason you watch. But I think every year we need our own brand new central case because, if we had just brought the Rance family back again for another year and this year it's in Alan Ruck, and season 3 it'll be in Brienne Howie. I think there's a limit to how much misery you can put these poor families through before the audience just checks out. So I think people are going to fall in love with this new cast. You know, we've got a bunch of cute kids in peril. So if you like Stranger Things, if you bought a ticket to it at the movie theaters, I think you will find a lot that you will like in this season.
Very cool. And how far along are you guys with the shooting?
We're shooting episode 6 right now. We start episode
10?
7 next week of 10. Yeah, so we're
We're in the
deep.
home stretch. Yes.
We're watching these kids. I mean, it's like, what you guys put them through, and already it's like,
Yeah. Well,
You haven't seen anything yet.
Most of them are dead by now anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Are we going to be
Joking,
seeing some familiar faces from season 1 popping up, like Gina Davis possibly in the future?
We have some fun cameos.
We have some ideas.
Surprises.
Nothing
Yeah,
set.
Maybe a Linda Blair possibly?
possibly. That might be a season 3 thing. I think
Okay.
we're far enough in the season right now that we want to make sure that when we bring guest actors in that there's a reason and we can actually give them a character. Like, you don't want to bring Linda Blair in and then just have her play a cashier and
true.
$19, sir. You want to make sure that you have a story to actually tell with her. And so, our season this year has been so focused on this one family that there hasn't been a lot of opportunities to bring in great guest stars, but we're trying to get 1 or 2 in.
So the anticipation is rising, so now we know, like, there's a possible character development coming on for that.
Possible.
That's awesome.
Yes. Possible.
So being so close to Halloween, you can't help with the free marketing you're getting. So, and plus the followers you have from the original movie franchise, what would you like to say to your fans out there?
Thank you. We're season 2. The only reason there's a season 2 is because of you. It's that simple.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again to season 2. We look forward to seeing you guys this Friday, premiering on Fox, September 29th. And thank you guys so much again. And we look forward to watching your show religiously. No pun intended. All right. Well, thank you guys so much and congratulations. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Thank you. Have a great, wonderful
The
day.
microphone's not plugged in.
It's a lie!
It's
Blooper alert!
I think we.
Thank you.
We stuck in. Hey, man.
You guys make the Exorcist.
Alright, you guys, we'll just kind of do, like, just honestly, just feel free to kind of like raise your hand or just ask a question. Oh, I think there's a chair, a couple chairs there, and there's a couple in the back there as well. Come on in, you guys. Yeah, come on in.
So you guys saw the episode, right?
Yes.
You like it?
Yes.
Would you tell me if you didn't?
Yes.
Actually, for Jeremy, this is very different from I think what a lot of people were expecting it to pick up from. Can you talk a little bit about the direction you decided to go in and why you made that choice? We're not in Chicago anymore.
Sure.
We're not dealing with the.
My seat has been taken.
There's a seat.
Thank you. That's fine. I'll sit next to you.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things we wanted to do this year was hit the ground running. Anytime you tell a possession story over the course of 10 hours, basically, you always have kind of that getting to know the family, getting to know the possessed case story that you have to kind of slow burn it. If you just started it and by the end of that first episode our possessed person was kind of bouncing off the walls and vomiting pea soup, it doesn't leave you a lot of room to escalate in the next 9 episodes. And so we said, and last year we definitely struggled in those first 4 episodes of finding compelling, exciting stuff for Marcus and Tomas to be doing while we were slow burning the Casey Rance storyline. So we said, and that's why we had a lot of like, well, let's go investigate the homeless people in Chicago, and let's go have these sort of little weird detours that didn't necessarily pay off in the larger picture the way we wanted to. So this year we said, we still want to slow burn the family storyline because it's important to get to know these characters and care about them before the shit hits the fan. So with Marcus and Tomas, let's kind of tell a very aggressive, do sort of a James Bond opening where you kind of come in at the end of one mission before the next mission starts. So for the first 2 episodes of the season, you're going to see kind of a big propulsive exciting storyline happening for Marcus and Tomas while we're getting to know this family. And then it's going to settle down into probably the rhythms of the show that fans are more familiar with for the back 8 as we slowly start to bring these two worlds together. Anyone?
John,
Yeah, like you guys jump right in, feel free.
how does it feel to be a part of the franchise? And what brought you on board?
It feels great in a short word, in a monosyllabic word. It's been a really gratifying acting experience, and an intellectual one as well. On the acting front, I've just been, the characters are very deep, and the situations are really expansive, and I thank these two over here on the end for giving me the opportunity to play him, and it, you know, having a foster family feels even more precious sometimes than a biological family, in the sense that it's more fragile, you know, and so that's been very gratifying. And on an intellectual level, just sort of been learning the language of this genre, because I'm new to it, and it's been very exciting. So, and of course, there's just sort of the honor of joining the franchise, you know. So it's been a tremendous amount of fun.
Jeremy or Sean? Well, any of the storylines from this season pay homage to any of the Exorcist films from the past?
A little bit, much less so than last year. We don't have another twist where, oh, this person is actually Detective Kinderman with a different name. There's a few shots, there's a few gags that fans of the franchise really love that we are kind of determined to get in there at some point. And, you know, we like twisting heads around, we like vomit. You will probably see some of these things again throughout the course of the year, but in terms of tying it back to the larger mythology, that was really the goal of season 1, was to prove that we were part of the Exorcist universe. And we feel by now that we've done that, and that, you know, if you're tuning into the show, it's because you love Marcus and Tomas, it's because you like our approach to horror or character work. And so we kind of feel like this year we can stand on our own, and we don't have to continuously kind of be hearkening back to something that came before. We hope.
Though we are trying to reach out to other horror movies, to others in the genre, and pay off some of that, which we can answer more halfway through the season.
Yeah, well, last year at a season 1 party, I had met some of the writers, and they were such horror fans, and they knew their stuff like back to the 1970s horror, you know. It's really impressive. So who are some of your writers this year? Are they returning from last year, or do you have some new ones?
Yeah, we've got Heather Belson wrote this first episode. She wrote episode 2 last year. Our second episode is Adam Stein, who's also a returning a writer. We have Manny Cotto, who just came over from 24. We have Rebecca Kirsch and Alyssa Clark, who are both huge horror writers. We have it's a really great mixture of people who are deep fans of the genre, but also people who have a lot of experience just with character writing and storytelling. We kind of didn't, we never set out to only hire horror people or only hire genre people. We just try to hire the best writers possible, because we know that we are big enough horror fans that we can get the scary stuff in there. It just has to work on the page. It has to be able to bring the characters alive.
For a show that can kind of go anywhere, is there a certain thing that won't happen this season? Because we obviously want to know what's next, but
I mean, look, it's broad, it's network, so, you know, there's a couple words we can't say, and there's a couple,
Try.
You can't show side butt, apparently. Side butt is not allowed. But in terms of pushing the envelope with gore and horror, the network is, they want this to be a conversation starter. They want to gross people out and shock people. We never really get pushbacks in terms of how far can we take it.
Yeah, and as for just narratively, you know, we try to keep it that this is a real world show, that there are, you know, a few demons here, but most people don't know about them. So we're not ever going to go and you know, do big angels or supernatural, big huge supernatural things. We try to keep it as grounded into the real world as we can, while having a demon or two running around.
No musical episode.
No. Season 3, it'll be all musical.
Brianna, right? Play a character who's skeptical, let's say, of God, demons, etc. Yet this is a show where to work, those things have to exist on some level. Can you talk a little about playing someone who's living in this universe as a skeptic, despite the fact that there are demons and angels and etc.?
Yeah, well, it's been fun so far. She definitely is an atheist, and she butts heads with Shelby a lot. Shelby is like a newborn Christian, a born-again Christian, so he's all about that life. But no, it's been fun. It's been fun to participate as like a skeptic. I think also it's interesting that her name is Verity, which means truth. And in a way, she is one of the only characters in the house who is not blinded by anything. In a way, I mean, Caleb's literally blind. Sucks for him. Shelby is a little blinded by his religion, you know, and yeah, so I think that's interesting, and that should be fun to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and she, as you point out, she, right now, the world she lives is our world. You know, there is no, for her, right now, there is no other sign yet. But to hold on to the truth of her character, as she said, rightfully so, she will have to keep being sort of that voice of skepticism.
The verity of her character.
The verity of her.
So
Verity.
So verity.
Wow.
I guess for the actors in the TV show, I'm sorry, was it hard for you guys to shut down at first when you first started playing the characters and that you did? Like when you get home, was it hard for you to sort of shut off from filming so intensely, like when you first started working on
We
this?
talked about that a couple times today, and I couldn't think of a time until a couple hours ago, but I think like this past week especially, we had a really emotional scene. A lot went down with the family, the foster family, and it was really hard to shake off. Yeah, I spent a couple of days feeling really sad about it, and like really sad for some of the characters that were, you know, kind of super upset by the situation. And yeah, so that was difficult, and I think it should only get progressively more intense from here, so.
Until the musical.
More
Fingers
feces on the
crossed,
fan.
until the musical season.
I have a question for Alfonso, because you shot in Chicago last year. How is it shooting in Vancouver compared to Chicago?
More Canadians?
Less cold.
Less cold, but more Canadians.
Less cold. But I would say that the crew from Chicago and from Vancouver, they're both amazing. It's incredible to be part of a show that everybody's working so hard, and they love what we're doing, and some of them they watched the first season. I'm talking about members from the crew in Vancouver, and they watched the first season. They were so excited of being part of the show, and but actually I would say that yeah, the surroundings, the atmosphere is completely different, but in my opinion, what we are doing in front of the cameras, or at least the energy or the intention that we're applying, it's exactly the same as the first season, but the tones and the atmosphere is different, and so that gives a completely new, I would say, taste or sensibility to it, and but it's fun. It's an amazing show to be on, and I mean to be with Ben, he always likes to joke around, and we're starting to collide here. These universes are going to start to collide soon.
Very soon.
Jen?
Yeah.
With having languages, the boundaries of language and situations, does that make that easier for you to push it as well, or to be at par with them? Kind of like with you and your siblings, like, you can't do that, but he did, you know, that kind of thing?
I mean, honestly, we don't try to push the language thing too hard just because I feel like our writers are talented enough that we don't need to. So when we get the script in and there's a motherfucker in there, it's like, I just take it out. Like, I know it's a battle we're probably going to lose. So I would prefer to fight the battles where it's creatively more important. And the one advantage of being on the network is that it has taken away profanity as a sort of easy shock value. Where I think if we were doing this show for HBO or for even AMC or something, there would be a lot more pressure to kind of be duplicating the original film and having our characters kind of just spew profanity, which really kind of is great for a 2-hour movie and I think would become very kind of wearying and one note over the course of 10 hours. So the fact that we have that limitation that forces us to be a little more creative with the words in order to get inside your head and creep you out, I think it actually helps us tell better stories. So that's why none of us have pushed too hard against those boundaries. But I'd love to say shit, so whenever that becomes, there's a lot of times where you have a character just saying like, I'm tired of this crap, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have a shit here. But hey, it's the business.
For the actors, horror obviously historically hasn't been that kind to women and people of color, but this show is very inclusive, and it seems to be especially so this season. So can you talk a little bit about how that feels to kind of be involved in that, and whether you think that's important, especially kind of in the political climate that we're in right
now? That was one of the it was one of the reasons I was compelled to join. I've spoken about this, but there were, I just couldn't think of an Asian face in American horror. And, and I thought it was just interesting to do that. I have no particular political agenda there, but I thought it seemed fresh. The show was already diverse, and it felt a little, to me, when you have a diverse world on camera, my personal reaction is that it feels more real, and therefore I'm more inclined to care about that world and the characters in it a little more, because it feels like the world I walk around in, and so I'm into it.
Well, I would have to say, as a Latino, I said this I remember when we were going to shoot the first season, to be part of a show, of a content that doesn't portray Latinos as the stereotype or as the easy stereotype. It's something that I really celebrate, and I thank Jeremy and Sean to allow me as an actor and allow me as a Latino to give something more real and grounded about my culture, about who I am as a Mexican, and Tomas as a Mexican. So I celebrate that.
I think that is one of the strengths of television over film, honestly. As someone who comes from the film side of things and had 10 years of experience, it's really, really hard to get diversity into films because everyone is afraid. They're gambling $100 million on something, and it just becomes like, how do we just make this lead role for Channing Tatum and no one else? And so you can't. That was one of the most gratifying and liberating things about coming to TV, is it's kind of the exact opposite, where especially here at Fox, there is a mandate to let's get different voices in front of and behind the camera. Let's tell different stories about different people. It's part of the reason I think TV is experiencing a sort of golden age right now, where the film industry is not. And so it really is a testament to Fox of how much they were supportive of that vision from the very beginning.
And behind the scenes too, we came into it. We were hoping for 50% everywhere. 50% in the writers' room. We got four female writers and 5 male writers. We came close. We got every major religion in there for a religious show. We wanted to make sure that we got every voice that we could get. For directors, out of 8 directors, We have 3 women, which was more than last season, so it was part of just coming into this, what we wanted to do to make sure that we aren't handicapping ourselves, to make sure we have enough voices everywhere, in front of the camera, behind the camera, so we get every possible story point. We don't want to handicap ourselves.
Alfonso, this episode particularly, you were able to show grief, fear, weakness, and strength in one scene. How do you, as an actor, like, how do you approach that? How do you pull off 4 to 5 different emotions in one 5 to 10 minute scene that we're getting, that especially towards the end there, when you are having that sort of vision?
I have to say that working with Ben, it's sometimes makes the job to be easy, because you connect with him, and it's such a delight to work with him. And I say this because most of the scenes I collaborate with him, and I just have to say that it's just I try to connect with him, and he makes the job much more easier. I have to say that.
These guys are also very humble. The amount of prep that Alfonso and Ben and John and Brianna and everyone put into this show is they will rehearse these scenes endlessly over the weekend. They show up to set and they know the scripts better than we do. They really bust their ass on this show. They make it look easy, but we have the hardest working cast on TV. I really believe that.
And crew, as he said, thank God the crew loves the show, so they're very passionate about the show and getting it, as Alfonso said. It's really nice to work with a crew that's really passionate about the show and really loves. Like we'll send in scripts and we'll get emails and calls from people on the crew just saying how much they love the new script, and I've never had that on any other show, so that's really nice.
Right, we have time for like one more question.
All right,
maybe 2.
it's me, Alfonso. Hey, piggybacking off of the collaboration thing you just spoke of with you and Ben, that sounds unique, not just in the TV world, but just in a production environment in general, right? I mean, isn't it usually the director blocks the scene and just tells the actors where to go? Is this different? Is this one of those things where everyone is involved together in bringing out certain ideas that weren't really scripted?
I have to say that those boundaries, specifically in this show, are not put like in any other show. Like sometimes Jason can ask for my opinion, or Jeremy can come to me and says, "Hey, you know about Mexican culture? What do you think about this?" And I can generate an opinion. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily occur on other shows. And I think that to have that all of us can have a communication and makes it more rich. And I feel very fortunate to also be part of that. So, yeah.
It's also part of the reason we send our writers to set for each episode, so they can sit with the actors and actually workshop the scripts before they go on camera, so that by the time you're rolling, Alfonso, Ben, whoever else wants that opportunity, can really have the scene locked down and know exactly what kind of emotion they're bringing to it. So then, once you get to set, it's just the job of where you put the camera and where you stage the action. The heavy sort of emotional lifting has already been done by the actors in advance.
Awesome.
Can you tease the dynamic between Marcus and Tomas this season? Because this episode seems to be setting up some sort of future conflict between
the two. One of the things that was important to us was to elevate Tomas to the point where he's no longer sort of the bumbling apprentice, because we didn't want to do another season where Marcus was always right and Tomas was always wrong. We wanted to kind of get them on the same footing and make Tomas sort of a full-fledged exorcist in his own right. But this ability that you see in this first episode that we also saw in episode 10 of last year, this sort of ability to take the fight to the demon directly, kind of flies in the face of all the established Catholic dogma in terms of how an exorcism is supposed to work. And Marcus is someone he's all about the ritual and repetition, and we do things by the book. And Tomas kind of says, hey man, I'm a Lamborghini, I gotta run, I gotta go fast, we have this gift, why not use this? And it's really gonna drive a wedge between them. You know, this season, one of the big important emotional themes is sort of the brotherhood between these two guys. And I think you're going to see this issue specifically creating a real wedge between them as the series progresses.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you